I think everyone has seen this document that has a lot of really good information. I think this is pretty much a standard throughout the community. If you don't have a link for this, I would ask for it. I believe it's in the documents I saw for the Hornet School. Is that correct? You guys have?
Absolutely. These- I think we do. If not, though, remind me, and I will for sure get this up in our training record or training resources for you guys.
Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to skip down here and we're going to go to rules to live by. And this is really some information that has helped me dial in. Now, for those that don't know, I fly DCS all the time. I don't really hardly play any other video games. I have issues. So if there's a DCS Anonymous out there, I probably should be the founding member. And, it took me a long time to really get comfortable. And now, going into a flight, I think what can happen a lot of times, and when you're new, your concentration is so high on certain things you can forget. But if you can take a couple of these rules and start applying them to that last little bit, which is probably the most stressful moment when you roll out and now you're got to get your radio call out and what is my fuel state, and you're trying to get all your things lined up. Take a moment um, and really think about how you're doing it. And this is what that is going to do. So I'm going to read each of these and I'm going to discuss it a little bit from the LSO's platform with my experience, which, given I'm not a real LSO, I just do it a lot and I kind of have my technique, and I've helped a lot of people who are struggling get on deck. So hopefully I can do a good job. I'll probably learn some stuff from you guys, but let's go through this. So never lead a low or slow. This means that if the ball is low, add power until the ball rises above the datums. All right. Then reduce power. Never reduce the power before that point in anticipation of the ball rising above the datums. All right. So when you're low, right, never lead that ball rising and say, oh, I think it's going to get there. Let it rise up a little bit and then pull the power back. Any questions on that at all? Any concerns, or does that anybody not understand that?
That's the best explanation I've heard of that. Thank you.
I think it's really important, right? Because you don't want to reduce power too much. Then you got to jam power again. You're going to say your ball call because now you got to get that out. And what's my fuel state? And all of a sudden you're boltering, you're hearing wave off because you're in the wrong position, right? So
Can I can I interject a kind of a question for
yeah,
your comment on that? Because you just said that when you get in that situation, you're going to hear a wave off, and this is something that I think any pilot should, virtual or otherwise, should have in their head. There's a word I would call a safety word, and it's wave off. What should we do if we hear that word wave off? We're sitting there lined up in the groove. We're focused, man. We think we got it lined up. We hear that word wave off.
yeah. And we need to talk about wave off and Hornet at the groove and Hornet at the 90 wave off. We'll get into that. But sorry, go ahead.
Comes a little later, but
Yes.
yeah, it will be cover clutch.
Yeah. Um, always lead high and or fast. So it's the opposite of what we talked about before. If you're high, get that thing down and go ahead and lead it to be a little bit low. So if you find yourself in, I'm sorry, this is basically the opposite of the above. With a high ball, add your counter correction early in anticipation of the ball coming down. Same for the correction from a fast back to on speed. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I want it to be a tool in your guys' toolbox. So I hopefully we can get that incorporated a little bit. When low and slow, fix the low, then the slow. You don't want to hit the water, right? Get back up, then get your speed up. You're probably going to do both at once because you're probably going to grab a jam load of power. I would say most newer people I've seen do this. Um, they're going to pull back on the stick and they're going to slam the throttle forward and they're going to jump way up at some point, and then they're going to end up being way out of position. So calm and measured is the best thing, but staying safe is the absolute best. So if you find
I could really fast right there, because I think you kind of touched on something is in this area, especially with newer pilots, there's a lot going on. You are so focused on a million different things. This is like the helmet of all helmet fires when you're first doing this for the first few times. It is stressful as all get up. And what I found I forgot to do a lot when I was first getting good at this, not that I'm good, when I was getting decent, I should say. What I would do is you're sitting there the whole downwind, you're sawing away at that left hand with that throttle, right? Keeping that AOA, left hand never stops moving. You're keeping that AOA. You come in for your turn and you've kind of relaxed that movement a touch because you're in that turn, and then you roll out into your groove. You got to get back on that throttle control. If you lose that throttle control during your glide slope down, it's all going to start falling apart for you. And I know for me personally, that was a big one I had to work on, was you just start focusing on the deck, LSO, altitudes, where's the meatball, where's my, all these things are in your head. Don't forget the most important one, which is just keeping that throttle moving.
Yeah, and I mean, these are hard skills, and in the real world, you spend years and years and years before you would get to this point. So, and you would talk to cadre of people, and that's why I like the Hornet School, because I really feel like trying to get this information in people's hands and to provide a resource that's, not just giving you a video to watch, but actually getting hands-on. So, great point.
We love doing it.
I know you guys are doing the Lord's work. So, all right.
Speaking of, if there's anyone out there who wants to be a mentor, hit us up.
Yeah, we do need some more mentors. We've had a great response from the community. We just need to get some more cadre in place. But let's move on with this. When high and fast, fix the fast, then the high, right? So if you're high, the ground isn't the danger. Your speed is. You could be blowing your interval. You certainly aren't going to land right after too fast. So again, opposite of the above. In the combined condition, fix the fast gets the priority of fixing the glide slope. Any questions on that?
So when you're saying fast, that's the red arrow.
Yes.
Under the donut, correct?
Yes. You need to slow down.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And that's a good point. Sorry, because there's some assumptions in here that you may not know. Okay, this one's a little more complicated. Never recenter a high ball in close, but stop the rising ball. I'm going to say that again. Never recenter, and when they mean center, they mean getting it on, not left or right, but they mean center of the datum, right? So in between the yellow lights on each side. So never recenter a high ball in close, but stop the rising ball. This, in my opinion, the one that needs the most emphasis. Note the word in close in there. That refers to the in close position, which is a few seconds prior to crossing the stern of the ship. So you're rolled out, you've made your calls, you're in on final, Callie's yelling at you, and you're at the final point where corrections need to be minimum, and you need to be careful about what you fix. So let's go here. At this point, if the ball is high, do not try to get it back to center or to let it drop back down. Okay. You will scare yourself and paddles, me, and either earn a no grade or worse, a wave off. Reduce power such that you stop the ball from rising any farther. However, too many people are so focused on trying to get back to the ball on center, and that's not the right thing. The IRL expression that is infamous in naval aviation is take your bolter like a man. So if the ball,
and truthfully, he makes a good point. There's nothing wrong with boltering.
It's safe.
All bolter. We all do it. Even like like I said, I am no real life fighter pilot, and I guarantee you, even the real life ones bolter sometimes. This is not a perfect thing every time. So just like you said, yeah, take it like a man, because it's not a sign that you're bad at this, that you fucked up. Sometimes, sometimes the cookie just doesn't crumble the way you want it to.
And think about this. and this is another point, that a little bit of a side note, but everyone here came to the Hornet School to learn more about the Hornet, and I love that. And you're going to learn the Hornet, and you're going to probably think about a squadron and wanting to fly with them. When we go out and do, close air support with a real world JTAC, and they're giving us 9 lines, and the comm flow is so heavy, your brain is overwhelmed. By the time you get back to the boat, you may have spent all your concentration dollars, and you may have done a good job in the AO, or maybe you did a strike mission or something, but a lot of your squad mates didn't see it. They're going to see this. But you know what they're also going to see? They're going to see you take a bolter and wave off, recenter your mind like an athlete makes a mistake, and they know that happens. It's normal. It's okay. Recenter your mind, forgive yourself, move on, and get back to, what did I do? How can I fix it for this next pass? Because what I don't want to see is you blow up in the back of the boat. And I've had people do that. Right?
Yeah, and it's a good point. Like when and if hopefully everyone here continues on with their training, goes through and gets your wings through us. But when we do our carrier quals, just like a lot of squadrons do carrier qualifications, you'll get a few amount where you can bolter or get wave offs before it starts negatively affecting your grade. But like, not to drag it on, but when I did my CQs, I screwed up my maximum amount of screw ups pretty much right off the bat. And then the pressure was on. So it'll happen. It's just like Callie said, it's the ability to go back up, slow down, recenter your mind, wiggle your fingers and toes. I always give that advice. Just loosen your back. Whatever it is you need to do, just recenter your mind, relax your body, relax your mind, because a tense mind is a tense body, and a tense body is a tense plane. So relax, easy movements, just refocus yourself, just like Callie said.
Yeah, mistakes are okay. You know what I mean? I'd rather you wave off. I'll be happy if you wave off versus if you slam into the back of the deck. Totally happy.
And that being said, if you slam in, it happens. We don't want to see it happen, but it'll happen, eventually. But
people on the stream,
yeah, we'll do our best to keep you from. That's true, but we're going to do our best. We're going to do our best to keep everyone alive. Last week we only lost 1, and I think that was it. We got everyone else down on the deck, so that's our goal tonight: is to get everyone down.
All right, let's finish reading this. If the ball is high while you are in close, it is far better to bolter than to make a large power off correction to try to salvage it. Paddles will be much angrier if you try to recenter the ball to avoid the bolter. I can't emphasize this enough. Boltering is vastly preferable to catching a wire if catching a wire means a big play for the ramp. You do this, you're probably going to drop shorter than you think. The ball coming off that glide slope happens really fast, and you can ramp strike or drop in before the wires real easy and bolter anyways. So much safer. Any questions on this? I'm happy to take the moment here to talk about this in depth.
Yeah. Is there any way to tell if my caging the HUD velocity vector is caged or uncaged, and when am I going to do this and how?
So that is your FOV button, is that right? No, is that the opposite? I gotta remember how I have mine bound.
It's your cage uncage button.
You're right, it is cage
essentially
uncage.
you want to. I don't know which term means. Caged means it's caged to your velocity. Uncaged means it's not caged to your velocity. I can't remember, but whichever one displays the floating velocity vector, right? That's the one you want to be in. You'll have like a little ghost velocity vector kind of off to the left, off to the right. If it is, if you are forcing your velocity vector to stay at the center of your HUD, you will have that little ghost velocity vector. You don't want that. You want the true velocity vector, right? And something to touch on, and I can't say it enough, Callie can't say it enough, is this never recenter a high ball in close, right? Do not dump power at the ramp to catch a wire. I guarantee you, you're going to ramp strike, or you're going to go off the end of the boat, because what are we supposed to do when we trap? Full afterburners. What's the wait time from flight idle to full afterburners?
That's a few seconds.
It's about 2.5 seconds. All right, that's 2.5 seconds you don't have when you're about to go off the end of the boat. So don't dump power. Don't dump power at the ramp, please. Okay, that was.
And we'll see it. We'll see it. Me and Callie are in the spot where if you do that, it's gonna be clear as day. And just like Hornet said,
yeah, you can hear that.
Yeah, and just like Hornet said, you're not gonna trap. It's a siren song of failure, as I like to say, because you think that, well, if I just get down in time, it'll be fine. Except your hook is gonna bounce. So your hook's never gonna hit anything if it's bouncing around. So that's why you don't want to do that. Just like we're saying, just take your lumps, fly back around.
And so Irish is saying in our chat here that cage means stays in the center of the HUD, which I do remember, and uncaged follows the true velocity over the ground. I know that if there's a crosswind and the thing is too far off, I will center it until I turn. Once I start to roll into that turn, abeam the LSO platform, I'll uncage it because I can't have it at that point.
And as far as like a visual cue as to whether it's on or if it's caged or uncaged, I don't think there's anything that, lights up or tells you, but you will see that ghost velocity vector and the entire like ladder slightly if there is a crosswind. If there's no crosswind, you'll basically just hit that button and it's like nothing changes. But if there is a crosswind, you'll immediately see your imagery in the HUD shift to whichever direction the wind is.
Yep.
Or coming from, rather.
All right. This next point I want to make very, very, very strongly. I don't care if you make a 2-wire or a 3-wire. It does not matter. A clean OK 2-wire or a clean OK 3-wire or even just a safe trap in a 2 or a 3-wire is your goal. The 2 and 3-wire is awesome. If I make a 3-wire, sure, I'll be happy with myself because it means I did it right. But a small little error in a nice clean 2-wire, forgive yourself for not being perfect. All right? Don't try to make too much emphasis on whether that fact. Now, if you catch a 1 or a 4-wire, we need to talk about that. Particularly the 1-wire is the most dangerous. So I just want you to know that I don't care which one you hit. My job is to get you on the deck safely. I'm not grading you. We will be giving you corrections. So if you come on the deck and I say, hey, you floated that little bit, next time just don't chase the ball, right? That just means that you probably gave it a little bit of power too late and you floated it on by, right? The last time I did case 1 with my own squadron, we did a live stream. One of our pilots just kept doing that over and over again. I think it took him 3 or 4 times, but everything else was fine. So I'm going to give you the corrections I see to help you for your next pass. I'm not grading you. All right. I am going to give you your interval, and Fet's going to be timing those for me. The reason the interval is important is the timing. For the next people behind you, it's a courteous thing to do. Any questions on this concept? All right, then I'll read on. Fly the ball all the way to touchdown. The difference between a 3-wire and something else is often due to a pilot, quote unquote, giving up in the last 2 seconds of the pass. Now, while that's true, don't go chasing it either. If you're going to have a nice clean 2-wire, just accept it. And let's worry about clean passes versus perfection. If you're at that point, then great, do it. But don't go floating what would have been a nice 2-wire into a bolter or a 4-wire. That's all I'm saying. This rule to live by is self-explanatory. Fly the ball all the way to touchdown. It's a powered landing, right? There is still more ball flying to be done in the last moments prior to the trap. If you just make that last little correction, you can end up with a better pass. Do not give up by flying. Give up. Ball flying does not stop until you are literally weight on wheels. That's true, but again, I'd rather see a nice 2-wire than you chasing something that's just not going to get you what you need. 3-wire usually, in my opinion, almost surprises me because I'm flying and I'm doing my thing and I almost didn't realize I was about to land because I'm so focused on everything I'm doing. I'm not even trying to get the 3-wire. I'm just focusing on my numbers, right? Not worried about what wire I hit. Any questions on that? All right, my last point, and then we can move on. Some additional points. The LSO's voice overrides what you see on the ball. LSO commands must be followed without delay. The LSO does not grade based on the wire you caught, which is the point I was making earlier. The grade is based on the whole pass. Safe passes award higher grades than unsafe passes. An unsafe 3-wire can be a no grade. A safe 2 or 4-wire can be an okay grade. 1 wires are frowned upon for safety reasons and are typically a no grade. The only one I'm going to argue with you on here is the LSO commands must be followed all times. That's true. But I don't know that once you're past the deck, the ball is going to, the plat cam is not as useful to me. So once you're past a certain point, I can't do much for you. There's not enough time, and you've kind of got what you got, and you got to do the final things. But before you cross the back of the ship, then yes, 100%.
At the ramp, the LSO should be quiet.
Yes.
Typically, you only hear one of 2 things, power or wave off. And that dude is probably shouting power if he's saying power at the ramp. Yeah, just, at some point you have to take over being your own pilot. So, like you said.
Yep. Anyhow, Clutch, did we get your question? I can't remember now because it's been too long ago and I had too many points in my own mind. Did we answer your question?
You did sort of address it, and the thing and because I've run into this, is getting so focused after turning on to the groove and trying to make the ball call, and then I'm doing my scan between AOA and my lineup and looking at the ball, and maybe I'm making corrections because I was out of shape from a previous step, and I'm trying to recover from that, but I'm at a point where I may think I'm safe and can recover it, but clearly from the LSO standpoint, it's like, no, this is not, wave off.
Yep.
And
well, the
that
LSO
needs to be a safe word. When you hear that as a pilot, if you hear wave off, what's the immediate action you should take? I don't care if you think you're fixing. No, I got this.
You wave off. It's simple.
Exactly.
We'll go over the exact numbers and procedure for wave off here pretty quick. We're actually almost done here. I know this has been a long class, but we are wrapping up here pretty quick.
Yeah, sorry. I really wanted to cover this because reading this section really helped me. And I think, I guess I hope that it helps everyone here.